Greetings, fellow Watford fans. It's time for another Orns Friday Focus. I'm Omar Moore, and the focus is on tomorrow's match between Watford and Manchester City in the Premier League at the Vic. And Watford coming off of a great performance against Chelsea just a few days ago, look to continue that run of good performances against the City side that, of course, are the current Premier League champions and who have had great success at Vicarage Road over the number of seasons, particularly in the Premier League, especially in the Premier League. And it's not been pretty reading after we've watched these games between Watford and City at the Vic. In the last three, Watford have conceded at least 4 goals. At the top of my head, I can remember that Watford have not scored in any of those games either. Maybe one time, but I don't remember. It's been a long time since Watford have had any success against Manchester City at the Vic. So why not tomorrow? Now, of course, most of us as Watford fans expect Manchester City to win the game and perhaps win it even comfortably. But if Watford can frustrate Manchester City tomorrow, you never know what could happen. The game plan surely will be from Ranieri's charges to frustrate and disrupt Manchester City the same way that they did to Chelsea, while also imposing their game on City. I think it's very important that Watford continue the way they have and impose their game and their tempo on City and dictate the terms and the speed at which this game is going to be played tomorrow at the Vic. I also think that it's going to be essential for Watford to be very disciplined defensively because what Pep Guardiola loves to do with his side is keep the ball as long as is humanly possible. I mean, they will keep the ball all game long if they could under Pep because that's the way he plays. That's the way he likes his teams to play, is to play keep ball and just lull you to sleep with the 800 and 900 passes that they are going to do. So the Watford defending is going to have to be all over the pitch, and it's going to be a very busy day for Watford defenders at the Vic tomorrow, as this team is going to have to defend and be very patient with the defending because you have to keep solid. Team defense is going to be more important, I think, than anything else tomorrow for Watford because the longer they're able to defend as a block, defend as a team, defend the open spaces, and be able to stop City from running into open spaces on the pitch, the more frustrating the game's going to get for City. And you never know, a player loses his cool, he gets sent off, he makes a rash challenge, and City down to 10 men. You never know how this game could shape up tomorrow. And we have no idea what the outcome's going to be, even though we all expect that City are going to find a way to get 3 points. But Watford's performances of late have suggested that we and they are not afraid of any team. The way that we performed against Manchester United a few weeks ago now, just a fortnight ago, shows you that we are not afraid of any of the teams that come to the Vic now under Ranieri. Of course, the performance against Chelsea further underlined that. And then even in the trip to Leicester, we gave as good as we got. As a matter of fact, we controlled that first half, dominated the first half against Leicester, but the defensive mistakes came back to haunt us in that particular contest. But Watford, resolute, stout defending, very good tempo and movement, and that has to continue against this side. Now, of course, against City, it's tricky because, of course, you don't want to leave yourself exposed. But if you stay deep and you defend and you're stagnant in your defense and you defend deep, you are going to be in trouble as well. So I think Watford have to get that balance right: when to come high, when to press high and keep a high line, and when to drop back a bit. They're going to just have to feel that out against the City side that loves, as I said, to keep the ball and orchestrate movement all over the pitch. What City love to do better than, and they do it better than pretty much any Premier League club, is move defenders around. They love to move the opposition's defenders all over the place. And they're going to do that with their passing. So again, Watford defenders, be aware of that. I'm sure Ranieri has told them this all week now, or at least the last couple of days, that they're going to be in for a long day defensively in terms of movement, because I think that they will have to be on their toes. I mean, I think that's obvious. They're going to have to be on their toes defensively. And they're also going to have to commit and take chances against City. Do not hesitate against this team because they will punish you if you hesitate. What Watford will have to guard against as well is the counter attack. There are going to be some moments in this game where City are going to come out with a lethal counter attack, which means that when Watford have the ball, they're going to have to establish tempo, establish rhythm, get the players comfortable in terms of the way they're handling the ball, or I should say, where they're keeping the ball, not handling it. But make sure that Watford players get on the ball and have some possession in the game, because what will happen is City will try to stop Watford from having any possession. And if you don't have possession, you don't have rhythm. If you don't have rhythm, you don't have anything going forward. You don't have any fluidity. And what City are going to try to do is break up any fluidity that Watford have. And they're going to do that by getting right up into the faces of the Watford players and try to ball retention, try to take the ball and keep it. That's what the ball retention is going to be. Pep loves to take the ball back from players. He doesn't let his players sit back. Very, very, very rarely anyway. So what the key is going to be for Watford is to establish tempo, establish a fluidity on the pitch, make sure that the balance is right between the defense, midfield, and the forwards. Once they're able to establish a rhythm and tempo, then they can start to string passes together. They can start to move up the pitch. They can start to establish a width on the pitch and run into space. I think it's going to be very important for Josh King. I think it's going to be a very important game for him. I think he's going to have to create a lot of space and a lot of running. And the way you do that is just to make yourself a target man, the hold up man. I think that Sissoko is going to be important as well in terms of marshalling distribution of the ball against a City team that's going to be looking to get the ball. That's what City want. City want the ball, ball, ball. They want the ball all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so Watford are going to have to, I think, establish the channels. I think they're going to have to make sure that the width of the pitch works for them. They are at home, so they can use the full width of that pitch. I think having Dennis on that right side is going to be a good thing for Watford again to go to, although he'll probably start on the left and then he'll drift. And then I think João Pedro also will end up, starting on the right side, but they will switch that. Excuse me, they will switch that during the game. And I think that that's going to provide something for City to think about. Um, excuse me, the pace of the game is going to be something that Watford are going to have to establish. I don't think that City are a particularly pacey team. They've got a few players on their team that are very pacey, but I don't think, and I wouldn't say that they are a pacey team as a whole. I think Watford are. I think Watford, if you look at what's going on at the back, I think Femenia can deliver the ball at pace. And I think that the midfield can be very pacey. I think that Kuchka is going to be important. I think he should be starting this game for Watford. We'll see if he does. I think he is going to be a very important presence in that midfield along with Sissoko. I think what will happen is you'll have Kuchka in as a disruptor, and you'll have Sissoko marshalling and patrolling, but you'll have Kuchka be the enforcer that we know he can be, and he will be taking shots in this game. And as I say, Watford are going to have to take opportunities when they get them. Take the shots. Keep Edison busy. You've got to keep these goalkeepers in the opposition half busy. That is the remit. You've got to take chances when you have them. Shoot the ball, pass the ball, take the shots. Do not hesitate in delivering that pass. Josh King, I remember this just from the game against Leicester when Cucho Hernandez had the ball and he had an opportunity to pass it in that snowstorm there at I almost said Filbert Street, at the King Power, and he stayed on the ball too long. Just when you can't dwell on the ball too long as a defender, you can't dwell too long on the ball as an attacking player. You've got to release that ball, whether it's as a shot or whether it's as a pass. And Josh King screamed at Cucho Hernandez afterwards. And I'm sure Cucho will not make that mistake again, especially against City. You've got to take that shot immediately. Or if you've got to pass that ball, and that shot has to be taken immediately. You've got to keep Edison busy in this game. You've got to keep that defense unsettled. And if you, Watford, can keep the defense unsettled and you can keep moving, the movement is going to be so essential in this game. You've got to keep this ball moving. And I think if Watford can keep the ball moving, and if they can keep moving without the ball, I think that settles that unsettled City, that gets their defenders on their back heels, and you can start to press the issue against them. Now, it's difficult because, as I say, they are a very solid team. They know how to get the ball retention. They are a very good ball retention team. But as I say, the very important thing here is going to be movement and tempo. If Watford stay stagnant, they are going to get punished because you can't have a defensive outfit be stagnant and defending deep all the time. You're going to get hurt there. You've got to keep the movement going. The defense has to keep fluidity. It has to keep moving. It has to establish its discipline. The set piece defending has to tighten up after what we saw the game against Leicester. And I think that the defense set pieces will they will tighten up their defending against set pieces. The Leicester game was the one aberration over the last few since the Arsenal game. But the key for me is Watford's movement and tempo tomorrow. How are they going to come out? If they come out the way they have the last three games, this will be a very interesting game to watch. But if Watford come out sluggish, if Watford come out stagnant, then they're going to be in for a long day. And you've got to, Watford, do what you did against these last opponents that you've played. Show them no respect. Do not be overawed by Manchester City. Yes, they are the champions of England. Yes, they were finalists in the Champions League a few months ago, but you have to show them no respect because if you show them no respect, it looks good for you. It means that you've come to play, not come to look at City's All Stars. And the way that you played against Chelsea is the way you need to play this game. You need to show this team no respect. You need to disrupt them. You need to intimidate them. You need to get a little physical with them. I mean, I know for Watford now, getting physical can mean injuries and red cards. And look, we've had a number of injuries so far this season. And so, we can't get that physical with City. City will probably get physical with us at times, but they're not a physical team. They're a finesse team. And that means you've got to disrupt them. That is the game plan, I think, for Ranieri is to disrupt City and then keep going in the way we have. Make sure we establish a tempo from the off. Do not be afraid of this club that you're playing tomorrow. Make sure you go at them, take the shots, take them early, take them often. I'm telling you, a ricochet, a bounce, and that's how we score. Josh King can come in and toe poke a ball home. Emmanuel Dennis. I mean, I think this is a game that's going to require everybody to be at 110% and to make sure that you make City as poor as you made Chelsea, as poor as you made Leicester side that really benefited from our mistakes, and as poor as you made Manchester United. If Watford can establish the rhythm and tempo of these last few games, they are going to give City a good fight. And we can see anything can happen from there. Once you're in a scrap, anything can happen. And I think Watford will be up for this game tomorrow.